The Indiana Fever defeat the Valkyries for the first time after last season getting swept by them in a game that I really wanted the Indiana Fever to win. Caitlin Clark was back in the lineup, and this thing at one point turned into the Caitlin Clark versus Tiffany Hayes duel. And man, it was competitive. They were talking junk to each other. They were firing up. It was physical. They were letting each other have it. And at the end of the day, Caitlin got the better of the situation, finished the game with 22 points, 9 boards, looking every bit like the MVP candidate that she.
ESPN can talk about the numbers. The box score can show the final result. But what happened when Caitlin Clark faced the Golden State Valkyries was bigger than 22 points. 9 assists and 4 made threes. This was the night the other side finally had to say the quiet part out loud. They tried to speed her up, they tried to get physical. They tried to throw different defensive looks at her. They tried to drag her into a street fight. And after all of that, Valkyries coach Natalie Nake still had to stand in front of a microphone and admit the truth.
What did Indiana do to get Caitlin Clark going?
I think a lot, obviously, in transition, she flows really well, and then setting, a ton of ball screens. But we had, I think, a good coverage. I thought we had a good game plan. I just thought they were the more physical team. To me, they did play harder than us, which again, that's who we are. We usually fight, with more physicality. We fight more together, and I think this game, give credit to Fever. They were ready. They were ready for the battle.
Caitlin Clark was unstoppable because this was not just a regular season win for the Indiana Fever. This was a response, a statement, a warning shot to the rest of the league that if you give Caitlin Clark a reason, she will make you regret it. And Golden State gave her plenty. Before we even get to the second half, you have to understand the pressure Clark was carrying into this game. So that was a lot of fun. The Indiana Fever showed a lot of fight against the Golden State Valkyries, cause the Valkyries came out. They're a team, they have length, they have athleticism. They were hacking a little bit, and the Fever fought through it. Caitlin Clark fought through it. She had struggled against last year, not in this one. She's been hitting the logo bombs, she's diamond people up. Got the support from Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell as always. Sophie Cunningham was good off the bench. Raven Johnson made a nice impression in her minutes, and it was nice to see the Fever fight and come away with a win. The week leading into it had already been messy. There were questions about her injury timeline, there were narratives online. There were people trying to twist the story around when she knew she was out. When her family knew and when the public found out. Clark addressed it directly. Can you just take us through your Tuesday and Wednesday both regarding hoping you were going to ask? Okay, you're practicing back, so I woke up Tuesday I was here. I got treatment as I've done many practices before as many of my teammates have done. Had every intention of playing, didn't indicate I wasn't going to play. Approached Wednesday, if that was the day of our game I was 100% playing. Woke up Tuesday, felt a little sore, texted our training staff, texted my personal physio. Then you want to know what I ate for breakfast too. So then I had a filet, I had 2 eggs over medium, I had potatoes and 2 blueberry waffles with butter and syrup. Then I had PT at home. Snorts, then I came down here about like 1:00 and we tried to do everything we can. Got on the court, I lifted, went through a hard workout. And I actually went back and looked because of all these narratives that are going crazy online about when I told my mom I wasn't going to play the game 4:47 and you guys found out at 5:20. So one of the most important people in my life found out 40 minutes before you guys. So that's what my last 2 days leading up to that Wednesday game looked like. She explained that even one of the most important people in her life, her own mother, only found out shortly before the public did. In other words, the idea that there was some long hidden cover-up did not make sense. The timeline was too tight, the facts did not support it. But the damage had already been done. Once a narrative gets repeated enough, people start treating it like truth. And Clark looked like someone who was done letting other people define the story for her. That matters because great players do not just respond with words. They respond with the ball in their hands. And against the Snorts Valkyries, Clark walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse with that edge. What a game! The Indiana Fever have finally beaten the Golden State Valkyries. And this game you could cut the tension with a knife. It was chippy. It almost felt kind of like a powder keg that could explode at any moment. There were a lot of fouls and each team was given 2 techs. That is 4 techs for the entire game, including one that Caitlin had no idea about. Actually, Stephanie White also had no idea about, and they talked about it in the post-game presser. Happened in that chippy moment with Solana at halftime that led to the double techs. I was just trying, oh, did I get technical? You did. I don't know laughter why. I was just making sense for the rest of the game, so I'm not surprised. Wow, I could have got ejected. I should have been all this time. Okay, well, I guess I have some fines coming my way. And player rack, wow. You're paying a lot tonight. Well, not wild, not out of control, but focused. Angry in the way great competitors get angry, where every little thing becomes fuel. Golden State had a plan. They knew they could not let her get comfortable. They wanted to make her work for every touch. They wanted to bother her, crowd her, hit her with pressure, and force the Fever into uncomfortable possessions. Things got a little edgy there right before halftime. Salute to Caitlin for standing up for herself and not taking any stuff from the Valkyries, man. I don't think this was one of these situations where girls are hating on Caitlin. I feel like this was just Caitlin going after the ball. The girl hit her with a chicken wing. This was the girl should have let Caitlin foul her. Maybe they would have went to the line and got some cheap free throws. I do not think has anything to do with girls hating music on Caitlin. I did not get any of that from the Valkyries today, man. I just got that they're tough team. Not like as tough as like the Raiders or the Detroit Pistons, but they're tough solid team. They play the right way, they're very, very good team. For a while, it felt like the game was heading in that direction. It was physical. It was tense, it had that feeling where every bump and every stare carried a little extra weight. And that tension finally boiled over before halftime. Clark went after a loose ball with Janelle Salon. And suddenly, it was not just a basketball play anymore. Salon got into Clark's face. Clark did not back away, the two had words. The benches started to react. Players had to step in before it turned into something bigger. Now here we go on the other side. We got Tiffany Hayes taking it to the rack here. Tiffany Hayes taking it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Takes it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Jaws at her right after, right. Jaws at her right after. At this point, do you know what Caitlin Clark said? And I'm going to bring back our good old friend, someone who we miss dearly. Do you know what Caitlin Clark said here? Was, hey coach, they woke a monster. They woke a monster, you're damn right, Christy, you are damn right. What did she say here? I just try to keep her spirits. I mean, the thing she said was, hey coach, they woke a monster. They woke a monster, yeah, they woke the monster. Laughter, they woke demon time, Caitlin Clark. They woke up a circumflex, laughter, Caitlin Clark. Laughter, they woke up, oh, you're going to clap in my face. Caitlin Clark, that, yeah, they woke up the wrong side. You want to keep her calm, you want to keep her calm. You want to keep her passive, you don't want to get her too fired up. You don't want to get her too charged up, cause that's when the Mamba part of her comes out. That's when the I'm going to slit your neck part of Caitlin Clark, on the basketball court of course. I'm going to kill you on the court, Caitlin Clark comes out. I'm going to crush everything you love on the court, Caitlin Clark. That's when it comes out. The officials handed out double technicals, one to Clark, one to Salon. And that moment changed the entire temperature of the game. Because here is the thing about Caitlin Clark, she does not need the game to be calm. She does not need everybody to like her, she does not need the defense to play nice. In fact, sometimes the more chaotic it gets, the more dangerous she becomes. That double technical did not take her out of the game mentally, it switched her on. Oh, you hate to see it. Caitlin Clark, logo threes, FU threes, 3-level scorer taking it to the rack, mid-range fadeaways, FUs love to see it. Her and Tiffany Hayes going head-to-head, face-to-face at half-court. Caitlin Clark pulling up from long range, Tiffany Hayes turning around looking at CC. Caitlin Clark says, let's go me and you right now, and as soon as that occurs,